Stuart Goldsmith, and in this clip from my Comedian's Comedian podcast, the phenomenally accomplished Sasheer Zamata talks about her rendition of an LSD camping trip and how she turned it from a work in progress into a full set, and also talks about the changing topics that female comedians can talk about on stage versus how it was 10 or 20 years ago. Here's Sasheer. Do you remember what bit are you opening with? Is it the same set list every night at the moment? Or has it been
this week? Yeah. I think I maybe added a couple things throughout the week and rearranged some stuff, but I definitely started the same way every night.
So I've seen about 30 comedians this week, so please indulge me. Can you remind me what was your opening?
Well, my opening bit is a new one, like really new. Talking about this camping trip that I went on with my boyfriend.
Yes, taking psychedelics.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And my acid trip and listening to the animals and whatnot. And the camping trip was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So this
really? Okay.
Yeah. So this was just truly a new bit that I was like, that's fun. And I did it a few times in New York, and I was like, great, I'll just start with that. And that for me makes the set feel fresh because I'm like already excited about this new bit, and it kind of rolls into the other stuff I already have.
Okay. And the crux of that routine is that you are having a profound moment about your place in the universe, and then you're aware that you're going to continue having this profound moment for ages while the acid wears off.
Yeah. I was having too long of a revelation.
That's a really. I've never heard anyone describe that stuff on stage before. I'm kind of. It's an interesting topic, I suppose, because if someone said to me, "Oh, she got this really great routine about being on acid." Like that does not do it justice at all. But we've all seen a bunch of I was on acid and crazy stuff happened, and it's sort of similar, I suppose, in tone to the way that, say, 10 years ago, women couldn't make jokes about menstruation on stage. Certainly in the UK. I mean, you could, but you would be pilloried by other women as well as other men, and we don't want to hear about that. And that has really moved on. That you could kind of go, oh no, we can absolutely talk about menstruating now.
Yeah.
I wonder if there is a particular... I wonder if the approach is somehow analogous, that your bit about taking psychedelic drugs is nothing like the stereotype of kind of a...
I'd hope so, yeah. We actually kind of just had a thing about women talking about their lady parts and whatnot. Like a female comedian, I guess, kind of made disparaging remarks about other female comics who choose to talk about their vagina all the time.
Okay.
And quote all the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
And then some other comedians like Sarah Schaefer created this like fundraiser for Planned Parenthood that also had 50 female comedians talking about their vagina.
I feel like I don't think I've seen Sarah Schaefer's act, but I think she's a blogger as well. Did she write something? She's a writer. She used to write for Fallon and had her own show with Nikki Glaser, and she's great. But I thought it was really funny that they did this show in the West Coast in LA and the East Coast in New York, and I did the New York one. Okay. And so it truly was 50 women talking about their vagina, and just anything about it. Could be like sex, could be, periods, like however you view that, childbirth. And I was really, really impressed with how many different versions of jokes there were and how different styles. And were you in that lineup?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Okay. I actually told I don't know if you remember, but I had a joke about this, like when I thought I had an STD and going to Planned Parenthood and getting checked out and whatnot. And so I told that. But it was so cool to hear, like, none of these jokes are like a typical vagina joke. It's like, no, you can actually have
because what is
many.
A typical vagina joke in inverted commas? That's just any joke.
It's just a joke.
Reference to a vagina that probably a man has listened to and thought, this again.
Yeah, and it's like, that shouldn't be the reaction. This is a thing. This is a part of us. This is a part of our body that exists, and we shouldn't ignore it. Also, it births people. Like, you came out of a vagina. Why are you grossed out about hearing about it? I'm hoping that is changing. And then same thing with drugs. I think when you hear someone saying like, I was on this trip, and I understand that when people describe trips, if you aren't on that drug as well, or if you've never done it before, it might be kind of lame to hear it. So I was trying to describe it in a way that you could understand it. I think people can understand being trapped in something for longer than they want. So the idea of like,
yeah, absolutely.
I was high for 4 or 5 hours and I didn't want to be anymore. And just describing how I wanted to like be over it. I was so done.
And with that, if that actual event happened only 2 or 3 weeks ago, was that the first time on Monday when you talked about it on stage, or had you done some work on that?
I had worked on it, yeah.
So can you tell us what that work was? I'm sorry, I've interrupted you telling us what that work was.
Oh, that's okay. I have a monthly show in Brooklyn called Sasheer Zamata Party Time, and it's a variety show, and I host it. And so at the top, I kind of recount what I'm going through. I just like talk to the audience mostly, but I might sprinkle some established bits in there, but it's kind of a time for me to figure out new stuff.
Okay.
So that show was, I think, the day I got back from that camping trip. So it was already on the brain, and I was just talking about it, and I record every set, and so I like listened back and tried to figure out which points people were actually laughing at, and then had a few more shows after that and tried to like whittle it down to the parts that were getting the most laughs and that I thought were the most important.
Which aren't necessarily the same parts, because I think that's a decision what we all make as comedians, is the degree to which we're led by their response and the degree to which we're led by what we want to say. Correct.
Yeah. Because there's some things where it's like, no one's laughing at this, but I think it's essential to the joke for you to understand the rest of it. Or people are laughing at this part, but I'm like, that's actually a lame part. Like, I don't know. I don't really need that part.
And well done to you for the quality control to throw out a bit that works.
Yeah.
You know, we all have some kind of like, I keep doing that bit and I probably shouldn't.
I know. Yeah. I've had people be like, oh, what about this joke that you used to do? That used to hit hard. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel like it represents me anymore. Or like,
can you give us an example of a bit like that?
Yeah. I used to talk about sex a lot on stage, and just because I thought it was funny. And then after a while, I was like, this doesn't feel like it really represents me. I mean, I do have sex, but I also was trying to be wary of like how people in the audience perceive me. Like, I didn't want them to think like, wow, she fucks all the time. Like, or even if they did think that, who cares? But I didn't want people to leave the show thinking that's all I had to say. And then once I actually gave myself a challenge, and I was like, I'm going to try to write jokes that have nothing to do with sex. And then I opened up a whole new world of other things that I wanted to say. But yeah, there was like a joke about how many white guys I've slept with, and it was like I started telling it like a Def Jam comic. And it would be like, I've been with so many white boys that what was it? Oh, okay. And then I think it was a call and response. This is an old joke, so it's truly it's coming back to me, but it's like,
this is a safe space for you to admit your old joke.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been with so many white boys, you can open up a cupcake shop down there. Or like I just like listed a bunch of white things. Panera Bread, a Hale and Hearty. And then I've been with so many white boys so many white boys been beating up this pussy that you could call it Rodney King. And then people will be like, and I'm like, we need to talk about this. And force people to like be okay with it.
It's always nice to perform in a venue that looks and feels like a really oversubscribed one of those puzzle room escape games.